Heyo, I wanted to do some damage control here because I listened back to some of my videos and I sound like a Gnostic. And I just wanted to clarify, I am not a Gnostic, or not a Gnostist. Fucking incredible. I'm not a Gnostic by any means. Um, I don't think that the only good things are life and are in the spiritual and stuff like that. Like I sound like it in the videos that I've said, but that does not mean that, you know, only good can come from the spiritual, because we learn that it's pretty well split. It's kind of mixed. It's like, you know, there is evil spirit or spirits, and then there's good, good spirits, I guess you want to call them. I don't know if that's the right term. Because realistically there's only one that's good, but I'm getting off the point here. Yeah, and then there's good things that happen, right? When we're in the flesh, and then there's bad things that happen when we're in the flesh. And I don't mean to sound like the flesh is, the most evil thing ever. Like, no, like, our flesh and our spirit war against each other now, currently, right? This is current until we get our renewed body, right? And then, because it's going to be physical, it's going to be real. So, like, and it's going to be, like that. Like, it's going to be like us, but just perfect. So, the way it was supposed to be, right? So, it's not necessarily that, you know, things that are physical are bad, because we learn even in the Garden of Eden that there was perfect things. It was perfect. And, they were. I feel like the term isn't flesh. It was real, right? It was like three-dimensional, right? But whenever I use the term flesh, I attribute it to sin. I don't mean to, but I do. And yeah, like I said, I was listening back to some of the videos and I'm like, damn, I sound like a Gnostic, because, they think that, like, the only way to get through something is through spirituality and all this other bullshit. And it's just not like that. It's not. And, I don't know, man. I don't know, because I was listening to this guy I really like on YouTube. I'll probably make a post about him, just because, dude, I was literally cutting the grass and I had the biggest smile on my fucking face for like an hour, just cutting the grass, just listening to this guy talk, because he's so smart. He's so smart that like, I don't want to say that he figured this out, because obviously God had given him these things to understand because he's looking for truth. But I'm like, God damn, man, this guy is just like on point with what he was saying. Um, it was about First John and, the brethren and stuff. It was really good, really great. It was actually, I'll say his name because, whatever. It was David Benjamin in Christ on YouTube, man. and that sort of made me think about that earlier. While I was out there cutting grass, I was like, listening to him talk versus how I talk about the Bible. I mean to say what he's saying, but I come off as incorrect. And I'm not trying to lead anybody that's listening down the wrong track. I am not trying to do that. These are things that are all of my perspective, right? Now, whether my perspective is incorrect or not is up for debate, right? Because it's about truth. But, I'm not trying to lead people astray. I'm wanting you to know the truth. And I'm hoping to give you some perspective in finding the truth. That's really my whole goal here. So hopefully that makes some sense. I just, I don't want to be misunderstood. That kind of goes back to that other video where being misunderstood and having to explain myself. I feel like I'm not doing a good job, but obviously my perspective means something, correct? Because if it doesn't, then what's the point of me saying anything? Right? Now my mind's running a million miles an hour, but yeah. David Benjamin is great. I mean, his whole video, man, he was talking about like Cain and Abel, and you know, really, like, what makes Abel so different, it is so true, dude, it's so true. What makes Abel so different to Cain is that Abel believes in the blood of the sacrifice, right? Like, and it's funny because, Cain and Abel lived during a time where they didn't have to eat meat, right? They had fruits and veggies that they could basically survive off of. The whole thing with, like, eating meat to survive comes after the flood. So my point is, well, I don't know. It's complicated. We could argue that, like, food was kind of scarce right before the flood, so people started eating each other. I don't know. It's debated. But, yeah, like, Cain and Abel are so different because Cain is believing that by doing things, he will gain favor with God, right? It's about for him, it's about his works. And this is why he hates Abel. This is exactly, and he says this in the video. I'll post the video here soon. But this is why Cain hates Abel, is because he does not see the blood as a good enough sacrifice. He doesn't. And this is just like everybody else. They look at you and they see you in your, I'm going to use the term poorly and loosely again, your flesh state, and they go, how could God love you? Dude, literally yesterday, I'm fucking picking up all this stuff for a friend. I was helping a friend move out with the U-Haul truck, and he's got liquor, dude, and I'm not chugging it, but I'm, like, taking shots every so often, and I'm like, probably shouldn't be admitting that, but, I'm kind of fucked up, and it's just funny that our flesh will do that, and people will not see that I am looking to Christ in faith. I'm looking at his blood and being like, that is the perfect atonement. I will never be able to get to that point. Doesn't matter how much I fucking work, I'll never be able to get to that. Doesn't matter, because it's about what God did, not what I did, right? There's the difference. And, these people just cannot comprehend that. They cannot understand that, right? That I sort of said that in another video about my dad, where, like, my dad and I believe in entirely different gospels. He believes that his works will save him. And I'm trying to beg and plead with him. I'm like, dude, it does not work like that. It has always been by faith. So, yeah, I don't mean to, kind of derail like I usually do, but, what the fuck? What was I saying now? Oh, yeah, I'm not a Gnostic. I'm not a Gnostic. Sometimes I come off as one. I don't mean to, but I really am not a Gnostic. So, hopefully that clears some stuff up.